are you the applicant?
Good afternoon. Oh, yes, I am the applicant.
Yes.
I'm here.
Is your agent attending?
My agent is not attending. I will be attending this meeting.
Okay, so the agent's not attending. That's fine. Okay, so we'll make a start. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the licensing subcommittee. Can we please? I'll just first read the protocol, licensing protocol, which is that members of the meeting are only allowed to speak when invited to by the chair. If you wish to speak, please raise your hand and direct all communication via the chair. Will everyone please ensure that their mics are muted and they are not speaking apart from the chair, who does not need to mute their mic at any stage throughout the meeting. When speaking, be succinct and do not exceed the allocated time frames highlighted at the start of the hearing and contained within the agenda pack. If you're referring to a specific page picture in the report, refer to the page number if possible. If you're having technical difficulties, please use the chat function in Google Meet to alert the meeting, or dial in the telephone number using the PIN provided within the invite or on the council's website within the meeting pages. Please do not use the chat function for putting formal questions to the subcommittee throughout the meeting. Any persistent disruptive behaviour will result in removal from the meeting. If there is more than one application, parties are advised that after each application is heard in turn, as set in the agenda pack, the subcommittee will not retire after each application. The parties can contact the licensing service to be informed of the decision the following day, or can simply wait until they are notified of the decision. Applicants and all other parties will be asked to leave the proceedings and hang out after their item has been concluded. Once all the applications have been considered, any remaining parties will be asked to log out of the hearing. Please do so promptly so the councillors will have the opportunity to deliberate and make a decision on each application they have heard. Each party will be notified of the decision within 5 working days. Okay, does anyone have any questions at this stage on that? If not, can we please elect a chair?
I would like to propose Councillor Snell, please.
Thank you very much, Councillor Smith. Let's get on with it. So, quick introduction. We only have one item on today's agenda, which is consider this application, which I believe is in London Fields Ward, within the Dalston Special Policy Area. But we've got to go through some procedures first. Apologies for absence. I've received no apologies. I don't think we have. No. Okay, thank you.
No, there's no apologies for absence. Thank you.
Do any members have any interest to declare?
None, Chair, thank you.
Okay, let's introduce ourselves. So I'm Councillor Peter Snell from Dalston. My fellow councillor here today is
Councillor Smith from Stoke Newington Ward, Chair.
Okay, so we're both outside the ward under consideration today. If I go around quickly and introduce the council officers, Mario was here earlier. He is an absolute wizard on the techno stuff and keeps these meetings functioning well. We can't blame him if our home Wi-Fi doesn't work very well, though. The other people we've got sat around, well, who's going to introduce? Jessica's basically taking the notes. She's our admin support. Amanda is our legal advisor, who will also take notes and is welcome to come in at any stage with legal observations on the application. Subangini Sriramana, who we tend to call Sue because it's easier, but she's our fantastic licensing officer and supports these hearings. And I understand that Channing Riviere is the one responsible authority, because the police have withdrawn their objection, is the one responsible authority that's continuing to want to comment on this application. And lastly, do you want to introduce yourself, Mr. Oza? You said you were going to present your own case. Let's check your mic's working.
Hello, just testing. Is my mic working?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Thank you very much.
Well, once you are presenting, it'd be nice if you switch the camera on as well. But I don't think that's a rule, but it's cozy, basically, if we can see
That's
each
fine,
other.
that's no problem.
But let's go through the technicalities first, okay? So there were other persons, that's members of the public who objected to this original application, we would still consider their objections, although some have been addressed by the modification of the application, partly addressed, shouldn't say fully addressed, and we are half expecting other persons to turn up later, and there's no reason, they're not part of the decision-making process, so there's no reason they can't come into the meeting later. Am I right on that, Amanda? She said yes. She said yes. She's got her mic off. Okay.
Sorry,
so,
yes, that's correct. Yes, Chair. Thank you.
Excellent.
Sorry, I switched my.
So at the back of the papers we picked up today, because they're in slightly odd order, but anyway, there is the process for these types of hearings. As I say, we've got one item to consider today. We will go we will go through according to that procedure. The licensing officer will outline the report. We'll try and structure this sensibly, okay? So if anyone gives a report or makes a presentation, we in the first instance ask for questions of clarity. We don't get into a general discussion at that stage. Then when everyone has said their piece, that's the stage at which Councillor Smith and I will ask you and want to discuss the issues so that we can then decide what's the fair outcome according to our licensing policy. So first of all, we kick off with the licensing officer, that is Suba, outlining the report before us today. Off you go, Suba.
Thank you, Chair. Licensing service are in receipt of an application for a premises license under Section 17 of the Licensing Act 2003 for the Journal Store, 468 Kingsland Road, for late night refreshment and to authorize the supply of alcohol for consumption of the premises, as stated in the agenda. Representations remains from licensing and other person. I can confirm we have not received any additional information. I have nothing else to add. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you for that very succinct summary. Now, Mr. Ozer, if you can present your application. What helps us in making a fair decision is to understand the background of your business and exactly why you are making this license application, because we don't want to in any way harm businesses, but we have to respect the licensing objectives. And I'll explain those later, but for the time being, just explain your business and what you want to do with this application.
Good afternoon again to all. I'm the director of the Donner Store. My business is a takeaway with seating outside. We have a tables and chairs license which finishes at 10:30, and we are making this application in order to trade from the hours of after 11 p.m. till 12 p.m. within the special policy hours, and also with the alcohol license from 11 a.m. to 11 p.m. We have been in touch with the police, which has my representative had initially applied for till 2 a.m. until the weekend. However, we have revised and agreed with the police until 12 o'clock within the special policy area. I am aware that there is some representations from local residents around in the area, and I have with my representative, I have been through the representations, and there were just concerns of opening past times where other businesses such as Beer and Burger was open until, and which what we've agreed till was 12 o'clock within the special policy area is closes much before the times that they are open until. We've had 2 temporary event notices that was issued, which was carried out successfully without any complaints or any problems. And yeah, don't really have that much more to add on to for now. We have agreed with the conditions with the police. For now, I don't have that much to add on. If you have any questions, I'll be willing to answer them.
Councillor Smith.
Yes, thank you, Chair. Just on the hours, I'm slightly confused. Burke, you mentioned 12 in your application. I think you've agreed 11, and you also said you were going to start from 11. And it says 12. So just on the application, I'll just run through just what it says. So Monday 12 to 11, right the way through to Friday and Saturday, and then Sunday 22:30, 10:30. So if you'd just like to clarify, I just hope that you realise that that's what you're applying for.
The revision that was agreed, as far as I know, because it was done by my representative, was for the alcohol license from 11 a.m. to 11 p.m. And the late night refreshment was from just the weekends, Friday and Saturday, from 11 p.m. to midnight on Friday and Saturday.
Okay, so just to clarify, Monday 12 to 2300.
Yep.
All the way through to, this is for alcohol,
Yep.
all the way through to Saturday.
Yep.
And then Sunday to 10:30.
Yeah, for the alcohol. Yep.
That's for alcohol. Yeah. And then late night refreshment, it says to 12
on Friday and Saturday.
Yeah.
Just on the 2 days, so the 1 hour extra.
Yeah. Okay. Brilliant. Thank you, Chair.
We're quite clear about that, Amanda and Jessica, are we? We're all talking about the same hours. Yes. Okay. But we can come back to this on discussion. Sorry, I think that's enough to get us started. Okay. So with those changes, the police have said they're happy with what's proposed. Fanning, you've put some detailed comments in. Thank you very much. It is in the SPA, so we do like to consider it at this committee. I mean, let me set the rules as the chair. If you're outside an SPA, basically, we have to consider whether you're going to create extra nuisance. Within the SPA, effectively, the onus is on any business to show to us that they're not going to create extra cumulative impact. And so that's why we would inevitably have pretty tight conditions on anything that's within the SPA. But Channing, tell us where we are at the moment. Of the changes agreed with the police addressed your concerns, and which of the recommendations you make to us about conditions you still want us to pursue?
Thank you, Chair. So based on the correspondence that I had with the agent of the applicant, as you've gone over already, they've agreed to core hours and the hours for alcohol sales, which has gone a long way to alleviate our concerns. Also, some of the conditions I suggested in my representation have effectively been agreed with the police with regards to alcohol in sealed containers and ancillary to food. The only question that I really have is the non-standard hours, example for New Year's Eve till 3 a.m. Is that something that can just not be facilitated with a temporary event notice? And given the representations from local residents and the fact that it's in the special policy area, it's really for the committee. It's really at the discretion of the committee to consider whether it's appropriate. But primarily, most of our concerns have been addressed in what's been agreed already at this stage.
Can I just ask for clarification? I mean, normally the objection to non-standard hours is what we expect from the police. I mean, the police always say this should be dealt with through temporary event notices. So it's strange in a way that they've not raised that objection, but you're thinking it's equally valid here. Yes, is that correct, Channing?
Yes, Chair. I feel that at that time of year, especially in a temporary event notice, can be utilised to extend the hours.
Okay, Councillor Smith, any questions?
No, that's great. That's great to hear. Thank you very much, Chair.
Okay, so sorry, it's complicated this because I didn't get a paper copy, so I'm going to have to, if I get a bit blurred on screen, it doesn't mean I've gone away, it just means I'm looking at something else. But Mr. Ozer, I was a bit surprised actually. You said you'd done a couple of temporary event notices, and I'm sort of thinking, well, this is a takeaway. Why would you do temporary event notices? Were they like at Christmas or something like that? What's the story?
Sorry, was it the previous temporary event notices that I asked for?
Yes.
Oh, them temporary event notices, it was just to basically just to show you guys that we are able to operate at them times, and we are able to not add extra nuisance. The temporary event notices was until 1 a.m. which was agreed with the police. It wasn't including any sales of alcohol. It was just for the late night refreshment. That was when I made an initial application for later hours, which was rejected. Just to kind of like support and show you guys and demonstrate to the council and to the police that we are fit of taking out or providing any conditions that are put on a license, and we wouldn't have any issues with that.
Yeah, my question isn't really that. I don't understand why you would want to suddenly open a couple of days later. Was there something going on those days? Because you're not having people out on the street, are you? You're just selling takeaways, yeah?
Yeah, the days that we did ask for the temporary event notices, it was on our busy days, which were Friday and Saturday. And
So
we
you
did.
thought you'd give it a trial, okay?
Yeah, we wanted to give it a little trial and also demonstrate to the council that we are fit to serve any licenses.
Okay. Now look, I'm looking. Sorry, Jessica, it's because I haven't printed it off. I'm looking for the agreed police conditions. Can you tell me, somebody, when we were sent that? Because I haven't got it in front of me at the moment.
No, the police conditions are the ones which is being stated in the report, Chair.
Yeah, they've
Oh,
not
so
been
they are.
sent. They've not been sent
Yeah.
separately, and I was actually going to ask the licensing officer if she could confirm if whether or not the police specified the hours on their communication to licensing, because the applicant is saying 11 a.m. to 11 p.m. on the alcohol hours, but on the actual report it's saying 12. So, I mean, whilst members want to obviously make the right decision, I'm not sure whether or not this was agreed with the police.
I can see the email from the police where it clearly says the commencing hours are 12 o'clock.
12.
Yeah.
Right. So, okay.
If required, I can forward that email.
Chair, if I could ask you to clarify with the applicant if they're happy with the hours that are on the report, because I think that's important.
Okay, I'm looking at the report at the moment. Mr. Ozer, is that correct? You're happy to have alcohol starting at midday, yeah?
Starting at midday, yeah, that's fine. That's not a problem at all. As far as I can remember, it was 11 a.m. But if that was the report, 12 in the afternoon is fine with me as well.
Right. Okay. You're not going to get many people at 11 in the morning. I would hope.
And Chair, if I could ask, the licensing authority made a valid point about the additional hours on the New Year's. If you could agree with the applicant whether or not we could remove that reference and for them to apply for a temporary event notice at New Year instead, because that's the normal practice.
Thanks for reminding me, Amanda. So it tends to be standard practice in any new license, I'm afraid, to just keep those, New Year, Christmas Eve, whatever. Christmas Eve, perhaps not, but New Year's Eve, to have that as temporary event notices. So we'd rather have no non-standard hours. Are you happy with that?
Just to clarify, it would not be inside of any license that is granted. It will just be a temporary event notice that I will have to separately apply for, right? Every New Year's Eve.
That's correct. That's correct. It doesn't stop you getting temporary event notice, but our standard practice in Hackney is to say, if you want something special on New Year's Eve is the biggest day, then you need to apply for it so the police can take an overview and other authorities an overview on whether they can cope with it.
That's fine. I'm happy with that.
Okay, I'll tell you the reason I'm looking at. Sorry, we're in discussion phase, aren't we? So somebody else can help me. The reason I'm looking at this, I read the papers before the meeting, and I thought there was some reference to substantial meal, but that doesn't really make sense because obviously it's a takeaway. So
I think it's condition 7 on the report, that it's food to be sold ancillary to alcohol.
Yeah, Chair, and it also says, or takeaway or delivery meals as part of the condition. It mentions
the one I'm looking at says condition 7, all off sales of alcohol shall be ancillary. It wasn't to a substantial meal, it's to a takeaway meal and in sealed containers for consumption away from the premises. So that's the that's the protection, that it's not going to encourage drinking on the streets, I guess. It just depends how far they take it, really.
Yeah, Chair, in Channing's report, he cites the conditions in his report. So we need to clarify which conditions are the ones we want to use.
Also, Chair, if you could clarify with Mr. Riviere whether or not he is still wanting the off sales to be removed, or whether or not he's happy now not to proceed with that requirement.
Okay, I did print off Mr. Riviere's comment. This is why I like a written copy of everything, because it makes it so much easier. But unfortunately, we had a mix-up on that today. Okay, so where are we? Mr. Riviere, you got two questions there. Number one, is the shorter condition that the police have given us at 7 adequate to meet your concerns, or do you want the longer wording that you provide in your submission?
Sorry, Chair, your connection is just breaking up a bit there.
Okay, I'm probably trying to look in the other direction. So in your submission, you gave us a 3-line condition about sales of alcohol, and the police have shortened that down to 2 lines, which is in the report before us as condition number 7. Now, are you happy that what is written at condition number 7 by the police covers the areas that you were concerned about, or should we tweak it?
Chair, I'm satisfied with the police's condition, especially because my condition sort of refers to table meals. So
yours is more of the restaurant condition. Yeah. Okay.
yeah, I'm satisfied with the police's condition, and it sort of combines both the conditions, I believe, into one.
I think it probably does. I think other persons raised issues about management of people queuing up, delivery drivers queuing up outside the premises, which we know can be a problem. Have you got any thoughts on that you want to share with us? Or we perhaps come back to the owner at the end and see if he thinks how he's going to manage it.
So I know where the premises is located. It's along quite a busy road, and there is parking next to that road, sort of directly in front of the premises. So I'm not sure if there's anything further that we can add other than maybe the owner basically instructing any delivery drivers not to idle, so they don't leave their vehicles on, they just switch their vehicles off when they come to pick up a delivery.
And do we have a condition for that, or can we put it as a public informative that we would expect it of any responsible operator?
Chair, I think it would be best as an informative at this stage, because it's a public parking area outside the premises. I'm not sure how we can create a condition that we can enforce, whereby we can check that the management is asking the delivery drivers not to idle outside the premises. But it would be something we would expect in terms of good practice.
And so our argument, when we're trying to, if we decide to grant this with the conditions as amended, I'm thinking aloud here, our justification would be that although it's in the special policy area, we do not believe it is the consumption of alcohol within the special policy area, and therefore we think it will not increase the cumulative impact. The only thing I would worry is that then the people who objected might come back and say, well, yeah, but what are you doing to force people to take the stuff home? So have you got any thoughts? Is there anything we could do to address that criticism?
Well, Chair, I mean, depending on how the operator wanted to operate, you could limit the sort of activity to take away sales after a particular time. But what I would say, Chair, is that given the hours being the core hours that they've accepted already, a lot of the issues in the SPA tend to take place after 11 and midnight. So if the premises is going to be closed by that time, then that sort of alleviates our concerns from licensing, that it won't really add to the cumulative impact too much.
Okay, so the advice I'm hearing is that in view of the limited hours and the fact that this will not be taking place at the time we do have maximum nuisance in the area, then we do not think it will make a big impact on cumulative impact. Okay. I think Councillor Smith, anything you want to address there?
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Just wanted to ask Mr. Burke in regards to his delivery drivers. I mean, do your guys have any electric scooters they can use?
That was something that I was thinking about, but for the moment, as we are working on getting our license granted, we only work with Uber Eats and delivery drivers. But in the future, as we do grow as a business, that is something that I am 100% considering in order to reduce nuisance.
Brilliant, thank you.
I mean, I represent Dalston just up the road, and I'm sure you're aware that, well, put it this way, everyone's using Deliveroo, and then they complain like crazy about the nuisance that it causes around. So it's you can't blame the delivery drivers, but there is a lot of pressure on us to reduce it, and increasingly with licenses, you know, it's good to see licensees actually come to us and say, we've got our own delivery service. It is electric. It does avoid nuisance to neighbours. But we're going to listen to what Mr. Riviere tells us and not be disproportionate, I think, in this decision. Okay, have we done enough discussion, Gilbert? Anything else?
Yeah, no, I think I'm happy, Chair. Thank you very much.
Amanda,
yes,
do you want to just
yes,
tell us if
there-
we've missed anything, and in
There
particular?
was one point to check with Mr. Riviere is the capacity of the premises inside. I mean, I know that they won't be eating inside as such, but about queuing outside of the premises, do you have any concerns you want to raise about that? Or I don't know if there are no issues because of the tables and chairs. I don't know if Mr. Riviere has seen the tables and chairs and everything and the setup that goes on there, whether or not there is a concern about queuing and loitering in the area or on the streets.
I haven't seen the tables and chairs. I understand from Mr. Ozza's comments that people stop out using the outside area at 10:30. What I'd suggest is maybe that if this stops at 10:30, then all the tables and chairs are rendered unusable. So they're either brought inside the premises or tied up in a way that they can't
Have we
be
got a
used.
condition for that effect already or not? We don't. Do we? I don't
I
think we've
believe
got
there is a condition, or I
already.
can. Yeah, I
Do
believe there is
we
a
need to add one? Is the question? I suppose that's what I'm asking.
Yeah, I mean, you could add that condition
Okay.
to sort of alleviate any concerns around that. Just for a question for Mr. Ozza, what is the capacity of the premises, and is queuing outside to enter the premises something you experience on a regular basis?
The capacity of the inside or with the tables and chairs?
Of
Inside.
the inside.
I would say 6 customers at one time, and we don't usually get queues outside of the premises.
Okay. And what's
It's
the
not
capacity of the tables and chairs outside?
Between 6 to 8 people maximum.
Okay.
And are those licensed with the street licensing authority?
Yep, I have tables and chairs license.
You pay for that? Okay.
Yeah,
Right. I mean, it is our standard practice. We don't encourage tables and chairs to be left usable when they're not being supervised by licensed premises. You currently bring them in at night time, I assume. Is that correct?
Yep.
So would there be a problem if we said that they should be brought in at 10:30?
I don't believe that there should be a problem because my license is until 10:30. So whether or not there is a condition, I have to bring them tables and chairs in at 10:30.
Okay, well, we'll do belt and braces. There's no harm in that. Lovely. Rightio. I think we're moving to the stage we could go for summing up. I think we've heard everything we need to. Amanda, have we missed anything?
No, I think we've covered everything now.
Lovely. Okay, so we go reverse order. Let me just check. Which means the first person to sum up is going to be, hang on, closing remarks. No, first person is going to be responsible authority. So Channing tells us what his conclusions are following the discussion we just had. Channing, over to you.
Thank you, Chair. Given what's been discussed and proposed today, then I'm satisfied that the application is a pretty modest application and doesn't really pose that much of a risk to the licensing objectives. Again, it's for the discretion of the committee to determine whether it's appropriate, and given the representations from local residents, again, to determine whether it's appropriate. But the licensing authority is satisfied with what's been proposed, Chair.
Thanks for that clarification, very helpful. And so we don't have the local objectives have turned up, but we accept, I think, that their concerns were very much related to the late hours, and that's now been substantially reduced. The applicant, Mr. Oza, good to see you today. Thank you for working with us. What do you want to say in conclusion?
Thank you very much for your time, all. There was just one thing that I would like to add. In the representation that was made by local residents, it did state that they did not mind on the weekends, Fridays and Saturdays, for us to be open until 1 a.m., which is in line with the other shops that is close by, and no one has an objection to that. It's not something I've agreed to within these special policy areas, but if you would like to put in a consideration of maybe if you can extend it on the Friday and Saturday to 1 a.m. if it is fine for everyone. If it's not, I'll be happy with what we've agreed.
My understanding, and Amanda will correct me if I've got it wrong, is that the police have withdrawn their objections on the basis of the hours put forward to us, and it would therefore be outside of our power to assume that they didn't object if we put that back in. So I'm afraid you're going to get what's you've agreed with the police, and once you've established a track record and you can use the residents' comments to support that, you can go in for a variation and you can say, look, what I agreed was actually stricter than what the residents were pushing for, and it's a fairly minor thing and will be dealt with by officers. But let's just establish a track record for this operation, and then you can come back and get it extended.
That is fine. Thank you very much for the
Thank you.
clarification.
Amanda, tell me if I've got any of that wrong. And
No, that's correct.
okay. So, and Sue Bandini, do you want to say anything more on the application?
No, Chair. Thank you.
Okay. So on these online remote meetings, we will retire and make our decision. Amanda, do you want to just set out the timetable by which we will tell Mr. Oza what we determine?
Yes, by either the end of today or tomorrow morning, the licensing team should be able to provide him with confirmation of the outcome, the decision that was made, and then within 5 working days, we aim to get the decision out to him.
That's the written decision.
Yes, the written decision.
Okay, well, thank you everyone for helping us be succinct and to the point and addressing the concerns raised, not least by the local residents. I will be looking for that informative about managing delivery drivers. And so, Mr. Oza, if we do grant this application, then please do take that seriously so we don't have to come back with further conditions at a late stage. But I think with that said, we can go into our private session, which is myself and Councillor Smith, Amanda as our legal advisor, and Jessica as the person making notes of the meeting. Thanks to the rest of you for coming today. Safe journey home, and I hope we reach a conclusion that's in the best interest of Hackney. Thank you.
Thank you.